This is the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast, your source for the strategies, systems, and smarts you need to turn possibility into purpose. Every week, we dive into dynamic conversations as our host, Nicole Greer, interviews leadership and business experts. They're here to shed light on practical solutions to the challenges of personal and professional development. Now, here's your host, a professional speaker, coach, and consultant, Nicole Greer.
Welcome, everybody, to the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. My name is Nicole Greer, and they call me the Vibrant Coach. And I have another amazing guest just for you, my friends. Let me tell you a little bit about Lasada. All right. So, first of all, I love this name. I'm going to find out if it has a meaning. Okay. Lasada. Pippen, otherwise known as LP, is a former computer engineer. Okay. So he's a total nerd. Turned powerhouse keynote and motivational team building speaker who helps organizations and professionals break barriers and elevate their impact. He channels inspiring storytelling, and you all know how I love to tell a story, so the two of us are going to get along like peas and carrots. And to ignite purpose, perseverance, and dynamic results, his signature keynote is called The Climb. He equips audiences with the mindset and tools to rise higher personally and professionally. All of my friends out there, please meet Lasada. How are you?
I am doing so awesome, Nicole. Thank you so much. That was a brilliant introduction.
Oh, you're
One of the
welcome.
greatest I've ever heard. So thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Okay, and so like, do your good friends call you LP or does everybody call you LP?
Most people call me LP these days. So Lasada is drifting away at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so where did your mama get that name? It's really unique and it's beautiful. Where'd she get that?
You know what? I have no idea. My parents, they're older. So who knows what they were creating during that time? I think they were just coming up with some stuff that sounded good. So
Well, I love creative parents. See, that's where you get it. That's where you got that
totally.
creativity. That's
That's
so
right.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. All right. So used to be a techie and now you're on big stages talking about the climb. And of course, I had a little reference. What's the gal that sang the song The Climb?
I think no, it's
Miley
not. No.
Cyrus. There it came.
Miley. I was thinking Lady Gaga, but it's Miley.
Oh,
Yes.
either way we win. Lady Gaga
There we
or
go.
Miley Cyrus. Either way
Yeah,
we win. Okay, so immediately following the podcast, everybody pull up The Climb by Miley Cyrus. It'll make you so dang happy. That's a great
totally,
song. Yeah,
totally.
okay. All right. So you talk about leadership at every level, and I love that because, I'm trying to teach people how to build a vibrant culture, and a
Hmm.
culture is every human in the building, every human remotely that is helping us. So, will you define for me what you mean when you say there's leadership at every level?
Yeah, absolutely. The best example that I have, Nicole, is think of a movie, any popular movie you want to think of, right? There's a lead star or a main star, and then there's a co-star as well, right? Leadership at every level simply looks like this. It's not just about the main star. It's about making a starring role out of the role that you do have. That's what leadership
Mm,
at every level looks like in its simplest form. Whatever role you're in, whatever position you're in, whatever your job description says, it doesn't matter. You can make a starring role out of whatever role that you're already in. Think about all of the Oscar nominations. Think about the Academy Award winners. They have an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. And a lot of times, the best supporting actor steals the show or performs better than the main star. So, leadership at every level means that you have taken full ownership and responsibility wherever you are in any company or any organization. Make a starring role out of the role that you do have. That's
mm.
leadership at every level.
Oh, I love that. And when you say this acting metaphor that you're using, I immediately thought of my favorite supporting actor, who is Stanley Tucci.
All
Okay.
right.
So Stanley Tucci, he was in The Devil Wears Prada and 100 other movies, and
Mm.
he's got his own show now. And Tucci, he's Italian, and so he has this whole show about going to Italy. So everybody write that down. Watch Stanley Tucci and his
There you
Italian
go. I
eating. It's
love
all
it.
about eating food in Italy. If you can't go, you might as well live through Stanley Tucci.
There you
All
go.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about is like this ownership, right? Like people really own it. And I love what you said, like you can be a star in that position.
Mhm.
Right? And I think a lot of times people think, I'll wait till I get there before I give it 100%. But giving 100% now is going to make you a star. That's fantastic. All
Of
right.
course, I was
Add
going to
to
add
it.
just a
Add,
little bit
yeah.
more to that. I have this thing to where I say, when you get up every morning, try to get to 120. We want to operate on 120 every single day. We want to go beyond the 100% if we can. Let's get to 120. And I'm going to paraphrase this just a little bit. I believe this is a true story about the NASA janitor. They
Okay.
asked him, what is your role or what is your purpose here at NASA? And his response was classical. He went viral for this response. He simply said, I am here to help put a man on the moon. As a janitor, he said, I am here to help put a man on the moon. He knew something about leadership at every level. He understood it. He caught it. He captured the vision. He was fully operated in the mission, 120 every single day. I just wanted to add that little bit in there.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I have heard that before. And that's one of the essential things about building the vibrant culture is that no matter where you are on the org chart, we're still trying to get to the vision, the ultimate goal. So that is beautiful. Thank you for adding that.
Of
So,
course.
you help people make big changes when you go in and you say to them, let's climb to the next level in your keynote. So, what are the hallmarks of a culture ready for change? What do you think a culture needs to do? Because, a lot of times I'm hired to help them. So you can help them too.
There you go. Yeah. Curiosity is one of them, and simply embracing the inevitable. Change is going to happen whether we like it or not. I would rather be in control of the change than for the change to just spring up on me, per se. So once you realize that a culture is ready for change, they have adopted the mentality of we are going to embrace novel and innovation. We're going to embrace those two things. And we're going to be curious about what does this change look like. Most companies who are ready for change, they're not afraid of it. A lot of times we get caught behind the fear of change. And if you're not afraid of it, you can embrace it better and you can proceed forward much more aggressive and much more powerful if you're not afraid of it. If you can just outcast the fear just for a moment, or how I would say it is learn how to coexist with the fear. Your faith and fear, they operate on the same level, and that's totally fine. But we have to embrace it and we have to be curious about what can this change possibly bring, because it could be better. And so we can see that obstacle as an opportunity, everything changes.
Yeah. Oh, what you said right there at the end is really great. So there's this book out right now, Lasada. Oh, excuse me. I get to call you LP.
That's right.
I'm on the
Yeah,
inside circle now.
there you
So
go. You made it.
I made it. I made it to the big time. So I just got certified in this coaching program called Positive Intelligence, and Shirzad Shamid is the gentleman that started it. And he says every obstacle can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. So you're mirroring exactly what he says. And I think that's true too. It's just the perspective we have. And you and I are all about a culture of getting change ready. And I know that psychological safety is a big part of that. What's your thoughts on psychological safety? How do we get that inside our culture? How do we make sure people feel safe?
Yeah, I think it comes down to that fear factor that I was talking about. If you say you have an open door policy, but you have a closed off attitude, that's not an open door policy. If people feel like they have to walk around on eggshells, if they feel like they can't voice their concerns, their ideas without being shut out or without being degraded because they have an idea or concern, that creates this environment of fear, kind of a dictator environment. And psychological safety embraces that. It's open for everyone. It allows people to voice their concerns, voice their ideas, and share openly without fear hovering over them. And so a lot of times it's fear. We don't want to operate environments to where fear is the ruler of all of these things. We want it to be open. We want it to be free, and sometimes that can feel like a load of chaos, but that's how we want to operate. If we want people to feel safe, if we want them to feel valued, seen, heard, all those things, we can't have the environment to where fear is hovering over the top of that, because we're going to overshadow it almost every single time. And so if we can just minimize the perception of fear in the workplace, people will feel safer than ever.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that fear is definitely in the workplace. It's sad to me, really. And hey, everybody, guess what I have in my hands right here? I have
Uh-oh.
Lasada's book. It's called It's Not Just Common Sense. And he has got 6 principles. And I love what it says here. It says, it's just the principle of the matter. I learned early in life that principles are far more powerful than policies.
Hmm.
I think that is a great line right there. Policies can change at any moment, but principles are the conducts that you hold true to. Principles are the standards, and whatever principles are established in your life, that's the foundation of your actions. So these six pragmatic yet essential principles will improve your relationships. And I think the antidote for fear is trust, and that's your
Of
first
course.
principle.
Of course.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I've heard this one time. I want to say it was George MacDonald, a late philosopher, who said this. And I thought this was so powerful. I thought this was such a great concept, such a great principle. And he said it this way. He said, trust is a greater compliment than it is to be loved. And when I heard that, when I thought about that, I was like, wow,
That is a good one.
trust. Yeah, it's a greater compliment to be trusted than it is to be loved. And I started with trust in that book about those principles because I think trust is the foundation for any great relationship, for any great company, organization. I think trust is the foundation that we all need, and we have to lay that trust properly.
Yeah. And you say in the book on page 8 that there are several things you can do to get the trust principle up. And I think this is totally applicable to culture, is that the people inside the organization, if there's been a lot of fear, is that there's a desire to restore trust.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
what are your thoughts about restoring trust? How do we get that put back in place?
Um, One approach could be simply that if someone makes a mistake, you don't want to immediately chastise them. And when I say chastise, that could be in the form of a write up, that could be a form of a suspension, that could be in the form of what do you call those things when you put people on performance
It's called
evaluations
a
where they
PIP.
pip. Yeah, yeah. I should know that because it's the first three letters of my last name. Why didn't I know that, right? Nonetheless,
The personal improvement plan for all of you folks that don't know the acronym. There
there
you
you
go. There.
go. Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome. This HR gal over here,
See?
yeah, I know all those things.
Yes,
Ah,
there it is.
unfortunately, I know about PIPs.
Yeah, but if you make mistakes, if you have errors, if you don't always get it right, it shouldn't have to revert to one of those three harsher options. There should be something that we call grace.
Mm,
Grace should be extended to every employee. And that doesn't mean that performance should lack or that performance should be weak. It just simply means that there are times to where the learning curve is a little bit sharper than others. And that's
that's
totally
right.
okay. Trust is really about, I know this guy by the name of David Brown. He is the world's fastest blind sprinter. And I am going to connect all of this to trust. Watch this.
Okay,
World's
do it.
fastest blind sprinter can run the 100 meters in under 11 seconds. Two-time
Crazy.
Paralympic gold medalist. Now, the question becomes, how is he doing that as a blind person? Well, he's connected to what they call his guide. And so when they're running, it looks like one person is running. They're connected by this thing that looks like a little shoestring at the tip of their fingers. And so here's what happened. David Brown has to trust that his guide is just as committed, is just as ready, is just as driven as he is. His guide has to be just as fast. His guide has to have the same mentality of a champion in order for them to become a gold medalist. That is not going to happen if trust is broken in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am sure there are times to where they had mistakes where, where their feet wasn't lining up properly. I am sure there were times where that happened, but you work through those progressions. You work through it. And if you believe in the people that you have, and so this can point back to the hiring process. If you believe in the people that you've hired, that you've brought into your environment, that you've brought into your culture, if you believe in those people, you will invest the time, the energy, and the effort to work through various progressions that is going to rise up, that will come up. So we have to be willing to work through those various progressions. And that's how trust is built. That's how the foundation is laid. And trust is earned in that process when we go through a few things together, when we
Yeah.
learn the strengths and the weaknesses of everyone that is around us.
So good. Yeah, and I love one of your points about the desire to restore trust, as you say that first you have to believe that trust can be restored. Yeah, I think a lot of people, they say stuff like this, don't they, LP? They say, I can never trust him again. They
And
make,
never is such a strong word.
right, right.
Never. You're sure about never? I don't know about that. You know.
Right, right. It's just a little too strong. And then you say you've got to have the willingness and the readiness to work. Yeah,
Yep.
because trust is not going to build itself back, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So, what are some ways that we could think about enacting this rebuilding of trust? And, LP, a lot of companies I go work with, there are grudges that have been in place for a long time.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yes.
when did
Yes.
that happen? They're like 1987. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, you're still back there? Okay.
yeah, right, right. Let's come on
Yeah.
up to 2025, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can I actually restore trust? What do I need to be doing?
Yeah. It's a personal thing. It really starts with introspection of yourself. And think about this, when you spell the word trust, TRUST, if we go right to the center, it talks about you. That's right in the center of trust.
Hmm.
And so if we're going to restore trust, if we're going to rebuild it, if we're going to allow people to earn our trust again, it
Hmm.
starts with you. And you have to be open to the idea that trust leads to vulnerability, and that you have to be okay with that idea. You have to be okay with the risk that your heart could be broken again. You could be let down again. There's a possibility that they won't live up to maybe some of these expectations that we've created. Maybe they won't live up to that, but trust really starts with you. I'm a very optimistic person. I kind of
Me
look at
too.
things very positively from the get-go. You have to lose my trust more so than you have to win it or earn it per se. And I believe that that is a powerful approach. If we can approach things optimistically, if we can look at appreciation over expectation, it changes how we approach trust. And it can be rebuilt and it can be restored if we focus on ourselves first. It starts with you. And you meaning that you have to have the perspective and you have to have the right outlook in order for trust to be rebuilt and to be restored.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that is absolutely essential to building that vibrant culture and getting the fear out of there is building this trust. And, when I talk to people about trust or there's a trust issue, I say, well, like you said, it starts with you, the letter in the middle of the word. Like, am I someone that can be easily trusted, right? So am I
That's correct.
trustworthy,
Yep.
right?
First.
Yeah. And then
Mhm.
secondarily, you have to be willing to extend trust,
Mhm. Of
right?
course. Of
Right? Like,
course.
so I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you that grace that you talked about. That's so lovely. Now, on page 20, if you get the book, you got to get the book. It's not just Common Sense by my good friend LP here.
Right.
He's got 8 different trust affirmations that you can use every day. So if you're in a position where you're like, oh my gosh, the trust factor is low, the fear factor is high, his first one is, I will decide to trust. I will
Yep.
decide to trust myself and then I will trust others. There's the being trustworthy and extending. I will trust but not be naive. I will trust that the best is yet to come.
Yep.
I love
Yep.
that one.
Yep. Yep. And they're all so positive. If you just listen to them, they're all positive facing. They're all, future thinking, forward facing. We're not getting stuck. We're moving forward, but we're making a decision to do that. And it is much easier to extend trust if you first are a trustworthy person. Now
Yeah.
that can be a blessing and a curse at the same time, because sometimes we can be too trusting. I get that side of it as well. But when you're a trustworthy person, you don't really think about the negative effects of extending your trust. You don't think about it that way. But again, it starts with you. If you're a trustworthy person, you will be totally okay or at peace with extending your trust to other people.
Yeah. And the final affirmation that LP has in here is he says, I will trust that I will trust. So you got to
Yes,
trust yourself, right?
yes,
So
yes.
good. So good. All right. So we want to build a vibrant culture and we want to build it full of trust. All right.
Yep, that's
Now
right.
you've got your second principle in here, which is called the preference principle.
Mhm.
And let me read what it says here. It says, everyone has a preference. However, preferences are just that. Preferences, not stones. To choose is the best choice in the world. Tell us about that. Tell us what the preference principle is.
Of course. How does this apply to the everyday organization? How does this apply to leaders? How does this apply to managers, CEOs, executives?
Hmm.
Preferences. Think about this. Everybody will have a way of working. Everyone will have a method that they apply. A lot of times we get so caught up in the details of the how it's being done instead of allowing that person the freedom or the preference in how they choose to get it done. The main idea is that, is it getting done? Is it getting done effectively? Is it being done efficiently? This is where preference comes in. People are different. Not everyone is cut from the same cloth. Not everyone has the same background, the same history. Not everyone processes the same. So because people are so different, you want to have space and you want to have room for preferences to be built into the culture. This allows freedom for people to work at their pace. It allows them to work however creatively they are. It allows that. That's what the preference principle does, is that they're preferencing. They're strictly that. It doesn't impede on anything else, but it allows people the freedom to express and get the work done in how they see fit. I believe this was, Nicole, help me out. Four Seasons Hotel. They had
I
this,
love me a Four Seasons hotel,
yes, amazing,
LP.
right? They had this principle. I'm gonna call it a principle because it wasn't a policy. This was a principle built into their culture. They show so much trust to their employees. They told them, do whatever you think is right whenever you're serving a customer. So do whatever you prefer that you think is right when you're serving the customer. That's what the preference principle is about. It's allowing people to do what they think is right when serving a company, when serving an organization, when serving their team members, when serving leadership, when serving the customer. It's freedom. That's what preference is.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And I'll just put a little short shout out to my other new friend, Stacy Edgar, who was on the podcast before this one. She's the CEO of this company called Venture. Listen to this, LP. She is a benefits specialist. So in my world of HR and everything, like benefits, everybody wants them, but it's like getting people to embrace the benefit package. Well, you know how you join a company, they're like, this is our benefit package.
Yep.
Well, her company helps you put a preference package in place. So you can pick whatever you want from this menu of benefits, right?
I
Because
love that.
it's so fantastic. So everybody go listen to that episode. It's so good because what Stacy's saying is, a 59-year-old woman and a 28-year-old woman are in two different places.
That's right.
And they need different things. And
That's right.
same for all the fellas,
Yep.
really important. So I love the preference principle that you have in here. And I think too, you put in here, one thing that we're going to have to do is change our attitude and be patient that people have different preferences.
Of course. And again, because everyone is different, everyone processes differently, everyone moves at their own pace. As long as it's efficient, again, we have to be patient. When we're dealing with a lot of people, when we're dealing with different personalities, that's a lot to deal with. And so we have to exercise patience in situations like that so that we can get the best out of everyone. When everyone is operating from a preferred method, you get the best out of every person there is. If they have to operate in some type of box or in some type of circle that's not catered towards their strengths or towards their preferences, the performance will change. And so we want to have patience around that. What does it look like? What does this look like every single day? How does this navigate and weave in together amongst one another? And so we need patience to see that unfold properly.
Yeah, 100%. And, I have this certification in the strengths finders, and I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we preach when we teach that is we're like, listen, there's these 38 strengths, and we can give two people, we can give Nicole Greer and Lasada Pippen the same project, and they're going to come at it a different way, just as
That's
long
right.
as we hit the mark or we get the result that's needed. That's the really important part. So
that's the most important part. And if
Yeah.
we can just focus on that, we won't get frozen at how somebody does something that could be totally different from, like you said, you and I, we may do it totally different, but we're not going to be frozen by the differences.
That's right. That's right.
Are you ready to build your vibrant culture? Bring Nicole Greer to speak to your leadership team, conference, or organization to help them with their strategies, systems, and smarts to increase clarity, accountability, energy, and results. Your organization will get lit from within. Email her at nicole@vibrantculture.com. And be sure to check out Nicole's TEDx talk at vibrantculture.com.
Yeah.
Okay. The third principle you have is, I love this one. Okay. Because this is a little bit about like our biases.
Okay.
So I like this one. It's the perspective principle.
Oh, that's
Uh,
my favorite.
yeah, and it says in
Yes.
here, let me tell you what you wrote.
Okay. Tell me, please. Remind me.
On page 35, you said, and I quote, the way you see a person is more important than who that person really is.
Hmm.
And the same for you.
Hmm.
That's Xable. We don't say tweet anymore. It's Xable, people. Isn't that dumb? Why'd they do that? Come back to
I
the
have never
tweet.
heard that one. It's
Let,
level. I like it.
I mean, we used to say it's tweetable. Like what they messed
Yeah.
up. What are they
I,
doing?
I
Anyway.
like it.
Okay. All right. So what does that mean to have a good perspective on everybody? What's that about?
Yeah. Kind of like you led off. It's really about the biases, the stereotypes, the prejudgments, the old
Hmm.
saying, you can't judge a book by its cover,
Right.
and so forth. It's really kind of a wrapping of all of those things. It's just packaged a little differently. And so the most important thing about that is what you just read is that if I see you a certain way, it will be impossible for me to see what your real value is if I don't see you in that light. And so it is important to have a very proper perspective of people and come with a blank canvas. So whenever I meet people, I always try to have a blank canvas. I don't make any judgments. I don't try to figure out where they're from, what's their background, what's their history. I don't want to know any of those things because those things will shape my perspective. They will shape how I see that person. I want to see the person for who they really are. I want to see them for the strength, the value that they would bring to my company. That's how I want to see them. I don't want to fabricate or place a perspective on them that doesn't apply to them because it probably doesn't fit a lot of times. And if we're honest enough to assess our own perspectives, a lot of times we place perspectives on people that does not match or they're possibly unfair. And so that's why I say it is more important because hey, you see that person is going to be more important than who that person really is because a lot of times we only can see through this one lens of the perspective we've adopted about this particular person. And we don't want to do that. We want to allow the freedom and the blank canvas approach of who this person really is. And can I see the value in this person? Can I see what they really bring to the table? Can I see what they bring to my company? Can I see all of that without putting a filter on top of my perspective? That's what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah, that's so good. And a lot of times I'll go in and I'll work with teams at LP. I'll be talking to people and I'll say, well, what's your story? What do you do here? How do you
Hmm.
contribute? How do
Hmm.
you contribute around here?
Hmm.
And I'll get everybody all friendly and everything. And I'll have two people be like, well, when I first started working here, I didn't really like him.
Yeah.
And now we're
Yeah.
best friends. And
Yep. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
like, oh, I've heard that a million times
Yeah.
because we judge at the beginning, right? And we don't take a really good look at what people really got going on. And I'll tell you another thing that I think is important is to be curious. What do you think about that from the perspective principle? I think you've got to practice curiosity to get to know people. Like you got to be interested in others. What do you think?
Yeah. I think you have to. And I think you have to practice. You know, I said this a little bit earlier, but I think you have to practice appreciation for people more than expectation from people. So it's
Mm,
appreciation for people, not expectation from people. And when you're curious, you're asking because you genuinely want to know
mm-hmm.
about that person. You're not asking to figure out what can I get out of this? What will be my benefit? That's not what you're asking. That's not curiosity. That's something else. Real curiosity, you genuinely want to know about this person. You genuinely want to know what type of person they are. And you really want to know, hey, how can I build a genuine relationship with you? How can we become a better team together? And, it doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with everyone, but curiosity will always lead to a deepening of the relationships because it's genuine. It's not about what you're expecting from that person. You're genuinely showing appreciation for that person and not expecting anything back or anything in return.
Yeah, and I love that. So I've got a little tool, all you listeners that you're thinking, how do I be curious? I have a little exercise. It's called Vibrant Identity and LP. When I do this exercise, I have teams who are either trying to get to know each other or want to deepen the trust, the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
They fill in these three circles. And the first circle is what I was given when I popped on the planet. right? So it's also a great thing to see the diversity of everybody, right? So LP would write in there, my mama gave me this name, Lasada. I don't know where she got that from,
Yeah.
whatever. Like you write that in there and that's fun and it's funny. And people put what they've been given. And then the next thing is they put in there like what they've chosen in life.
Mhm.
And you said, hold on, I want to go back because I think that dovetails beautifully. Hold on.
Wow. Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
his
What they
book all marked
chosen.
up here because you say to choose is the best choice in the world. Okay,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
in the book. Everybody, it's not just common sense by Lasada Pippen. So what you've chosen in life, and I tell everybody, only write down the things that are positive that you've chosen because we've all made really dumb decisions. So don't
Hmm.
write any of that down. Just write the good
Yes.
stuff you've chosen.
Yeah.
And then in the middle is the core. Like, who do you think you are at the core? And LB, nobody ever writes in their ugly stuff. Like they're at the core. I love people. I'm a family guy. I'm this, I'm that, all these beautiful things.
Yeah.
And when I do that, your perspective principle, in fact, I'm going to reference it from now on. I'm going to say,
Oh,
listen,
there you
you
go.
got to get the book.
Yay.
But people will say, I've worked with you for 20 years and I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So to be curious, to go deeper with people, to get a proper perspective, not an assumed one, I think your principle is fantastic.
You know what, Nicole,
Fantastic.
also along the lines of that is that
Yeah.
this is the real challenge, or this is where the real growth occurs. Can you reset your perspective every day? No, that's probably too much. Can you reset your perspective quarterly? And
Mm,
here's what I mean by that. If you have people that have been working together for 20 years, you usually shift from perspective mode to assumption mode because you do think that you know them. You do think that you know their tendencies, their habits, and all this kind of stuff. And you're probably spot on with some of those things. That's perfectly fair.
hmm
But can you reset that quarterly to keep it fresh, to keep the relationship new? Because that allows for people to grow, to change, to develop. That allows that space for that. If you can reset the perspective at least quarterly, and even if you have been working with a person for 10, 15, 20 years, don't develop the assumption mentality that, oh, because of how you did this 10 years ago, it's probably going to be the same in year 11, 12, 13, and so forth. So try to reset your perspective quarterly. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
Oh, so good. So good. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this can occur through a team outing, bringing in myself or bringing in LP. We'll do a little
Yep.
team building thing where everybody
Yep.
gets to know each other. Yeah, that's
Yep.
what we're absolutely talking about. And I think people are surprising in a great way. People are capable of way more than we think.
Yeah.
So I love it. Don't be into the assuming. We all know what happens when you assume.
The,
Look it up on the Chat GPT.
yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. She'll tell you. I've decided Chat GPT is a female. I don't know.
That,
I just think that's what it is. Anyway.
yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Chapter 4 is the problem principle. And don't miss all my great listeners. You're getting 6 principles from Lasada Pippen. All right.
That's right.
So the problem principle, the problem is not the problem itself. The way you respond to the problem is more important. Your attitude towards the problem is going to determine the outcome.
That's right.
See, and that
Yeah.
is Xable as well. All right. So,
That's right. There we go. I love it.
all right. So tell me about what you're talking about. Like the problem's not the problem. What do you mean?
Of course. Do you believe, let me ask you this. Do you believe that there's an answer to every problem or just most problems?
Oh, I think I don't know. How do you get world peace? How do you feed all the hungry people? How do you get the homeless housed? Some of
Mhm.
these problems seem very overwhelming, but I mean, if we could all get on the same page, if we could all work together,
Yep. See, there's
it's a
a,
big
there,
ask.
it is, but there, you start going towards the right direction. If we
Yeah.
can all align, if we can all get on the same page, of course you can.
Yeah.
I'm of the mentality that for every problem, there is a solution.
Yeah.
Whether we have found that solution or not, that's a different question. That's a different answer. But I am of the mindset that for every problem, there is a solution. And if we just spell the word, I'm just nerdy like that. I just like words, looking at words and figuring out, all these little things.
Mhm.
If we just spell it right at the beginning, a problem is the word pro. So if you can become the pro in problem, it changes how you look at every single problem that you will face. I believe that there's an answer for every single problem, but we have to become a pro. We have this thing that we do here in my company that for every problem, that you bring or that you identify. And this will help a lot of companies with just building resilient teams and creating critical thinking and environments to where people can process. For every problem, we call it 1 = 3. And so for every problem that you have to have at least 3 possible solutions to that problem that you found, discovered, or that you have.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the 3, you can't talk about the 1. That's the process. That's the rule. 1 = 3. And what it does is you'll be surprised that it highlights that maybe this is not as big of a problem as I thought it was. That's one highlight that we can see. And it also cuts the chatter to where people won't complain as much. They won't nitpick. They won't find an issue in everything that there is, because you do have some of that as well. So if you kind of implement this strategy of 1 = 3, for every problem that you find, discover, you have to have at least 3 possible solutions. So the problem is not the problem itself. It's just how we look at it and how we respond to it. But we got to become the pro in the problem. And it changes how we approach that.
That's so good. That's so good. And, I was thinking about, after I mentioned like those biggies, homelessness and hunger and war, world peace and all that. I like your little pro thing so much. I like you picking apart these words. Keep doing it. It's really good, because it's kind of like I can't fix it globally, maybe by myself, but I can like help where I am.
Of course.
Right. What's 3 solutions for, Concord, North Carolina, or where you're from, Marietta, Georgia, right? Like if I can get one person housed, one person fed, one person, put down his gun or whatever, then I'm in great shape, right? I'm being the pro in the situation. That's fantastic. It's fantastic.
And that's taking initiative. That's leadership at every level. See how that all connects and all ties back in. That's what that is. It can start from anywhere, and it can start with anyone. So, yeah.
Right. And it's I think his name is Daryl Seaver. Hey, y'all, don't right now. Keep listening to LP and me right now. But after this is over, I want you to go look at this video by Daryl Seaver, and it's called How to Start a Movement. And
I've heard of that one. Yes.
That, just thinking about that video just makes me the happiest chick in the world, because it's this video, LP, and this guy is dancing at this concert, and it's obvious that he has had a lot of fun at the concert, if you know what I mean. Like he's got a wristband on, if you're with me right now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so, so he is dancing.
Yeah.
He is dancing full on, no inhibitions, and all of a sudden another young man comes up and starts dancing beside him. And this is your message. Daryl Seaver says, "Be the dancing man." But the second guy comes up and joins him, and what he says is, the second leader, the leadership at every level, like LP saying, he's the one that started the movement. It wasn't the first guy. Because the first guy was a lone nut, a dancing crazy person. But the minute somebody joined him, they're like, hey, and then it just shows all these people coming off this hill in the concert, and they're all dancing like a bunch of crazy people. It's fantastic. Fantastic.
Right.
And it's only like 8 minutes long. Y'all go watch that after this. Okay. All right. So your next principle, we got 2 principles left, and we only have so much time. So we have to get moving here. All right. So the moment principle now is more significant than your past. I love how you say that. The moment. Yeah, like get in the moment, people. Talk about the moment principle.
Now is the best time frame that we have on earth. Now.
Right. That's right.
It's not yesterday. It's not tomorrow. It's not the anniversary that's coming up in a few months. It's not the birthday parties in a few months. It's not your past trophies. It's not your yearbook picture. It's not your MBA that you got a few years ago. It's none of those things. Now is the best time frame that we have on earth. It's right now, in the moment, present, full, alive, well, and thinking about building towards a better future. But it starts right now. Most of the time, if we don't do things right now, we procrastinate and we never do them. So I'm all about doing it right now, implementing everything right now, not looking backwards, but constantly looking forward, but looking from the perspective of right now. It's the best time frame that we have. That's what the moment principle is being present right now.
That's right. And he talks about procrastination on page 70. And then you
Yep.
also talk about gaining momentum on page 73, that if you're not focused on the right now, you're never going to get to where you want to go in the future. It's one thing to dream about the future, but you got to get stuff done, right?
Yep.
You
That's
got to
right.
move it
Yep.
forward. Yeah. And that, oh, that's so crazy. I said that and I looked down, last words on page 78 in that chapter, move forward. Look at that.
Move forward. That's it.
LP,
Yeah.
there's something special happening here. I'm just saying.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. So here is the last principle. It is the contentment principle. All right.
Hmm.
So we've been talking about moving forward and doing all these things, but there is this element of contentment. And you say in here, contentment is the key to faithfulness. Talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Bring us home.
I heard this statement before, and I can't credit where I heard it, but the statement was, don't try to get happier than happy. Don't try to get happier than happy. And a lot of times, contentment is usually robbed by comparison. When we
Mm-hmm.
compare ourselves to other people, and most of the times, it's only two outcomes when it comes to comparison. Somebody's going to feel superior, somebody's going to feel inferior. Those are the only two outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, if we start focusing on comparison, it takes us out of contentment. And again, contentment feeds from the moment of now. Contentment is, if you just simply look around, if you look up, if you look within, and then if you look forward, you will find so many things that you can be content with.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times we just don't pause and take a moment to look around to see what we can be grateful for, to see how good we have it. And if we can just pause and, savor in those moments, you'll find that you have a lot to be content with. There's a lot, but we just need to pause and slow down and get away from comparing ourselves to other people, because comparison is the thief of all joy.
Mm.
And so we want to stay in the space of contentment and don't try to be happier than happy.
Mm. That's so good. That's so good. And okay, so everybody, just imagine your culture at work, right? And you are sitting around, you're like, we need to have some principles that we operate from.
Yeah.
Here we've got them for you. Let's just go through them one more time. Pins at the ready, everybody. The trust principle. I got
Yes.
to extend it and I got to be trustworthy.
Yeah.
I got to really respect. That's what I'm going to say. Respect people's preferences, the preference principle, right?
Yep.
And then have proper perspective. Quit judging. Have y'all heard this one? Lest ye judge. That's a
Yes.
thing, all
All
right?
right.
Okay. And then the problem is not the problem itself, it's how you respond. Let's problem solve. Let's come up with 3 solutions, like
Yep.
LP said.
Yep.
The moment principle. We're working in the now. We're not saying that's the way it's always been done. We're
Yep.
not living
Mm-mm.
out some vision all the time, although I love a good vision. And then we are content, right? And we're faithful to the work we got to get done.
That's
Man,
right.
that would build a vibrant culture, wouldn't it,
I
LP?
know. Oh, I think it would be awesome. Implemented in any culture. Easy implementation.
That's right. That's right. Well, if you need help, you can call Nicole Greer and you can call the LP and you can get a copy of this book. Whoops, I covered up his face. All right.
There you go.
So there it is. It's not just common sense. Okay. It's like real, real. All right. So, Lasada, if somebody wants to find you and put you on some stage at their employee conference or do something with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, that's pretty easy. I'm a pretty easy guy to find. Everything is just simply at Lasada Pippen. You can visit lasadapippen.com. You'll find a lot of videos there. You'll find some coaching there. You'll find everything that you need is at lasadapippen.com. And all of my socials are just simply at Lasada Pippen. And if you haven't had me on your stage, if I have not worked with you during the event, you don't know what you're missing. So check out at Lasada Pippen and lasadapippen.com.
Okay, everybody, you heard it. Check them out. And then do this before you leave. Go down, press that button. It's the thumbs up button. And then if you really liked all of these principles, will you please leave my friend and hopefully your new friend, LP, a little love note on whatever platform you're listening to this on.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to you, LP. Everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Nicole. Awesome.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more like-minded listeners. Remember, the journey to building a vibrant culture never stops. Stay inspired, Keep nurturing your vibrant culture, and we can't wait to reconnect with you on the next exciting episode of the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast.